My name is Ehi, and this is the story of how my life changed in ways I never imagined. I woke up at 4 a.m., just like every other morning. The roosters were still sleeping, but I had work to do. In the small compound where we lived, I was always the first to wake and the last to sleep. Ehi, where is my water for bathing? That was Osas, my stepsister. She was still in bed, shouting orders. Ehi, my clothes are not ironed. That was Eloho, the other stepsister. I was 24 years old, but in this house, I was treated like a servant. My father was a quiet man who traveled for work most of the time. When my mother died 7 years ago, he married again. My stepmother, Mama Osas, made sure my life became very difficult. I fetched water from the well, 20 buckets in total. I cooked breakfast for everyone. I washed clothes by the riverside. I cleaned the compound. I went to the market. I did everything.
My stepsisters did nothing. They painted their nails, plaited their hair, and went to visit friends. They were younger than me. Osas was 21, Eloho was 19, but they lived like queens while I worked like a slave. You are lucky we even allow you to live here, Mama Osas would say. Your father barely sends money. Who is feeding you? Me, so you must work. My father loved me, but he was weak. Whenever I complained, he would say, Ehi, please, just manage. I will fix things soon. But soon never came.
One Wednesday afternoon, while I was washing clothes at the riverside, I heard the village drums beating. This was unusual. The drums only beat for important announcements. I left my washing and ran to the village square with other people. The town crier was there, and beside him stood a woman in expensive clothes and a man who was holding her hand. The man was tall and handsome, but something was wrong. His eyes, they were open, but they did not focus on anything. He was blind. People of this village, the town crier shouted, listen well. This woman is Sister Ivie from a far village. She is looking for a good wife for her younger brother, Oko. Any family who has a daughter and needs money should come forward. They are willing to pay a bride price of 200,000 naira. 200,000 naira. In our village, that was a fortune. People began to whisper. But the man is blind, someone said. So what? Money is money, another person replied. I looked at the blind man, Oko. He stood quietly, his face calm. He did not smile or frown. He just stood there, holding his sister's hand, while people stared at him like he was on display at the market. I felt sad for him. Nobody should be treated like that.
That evening, when I returned home, Mama Osas was waiting for me with a strange smile on her face. Ehi, come here, she said sweetly. She was never sweet to me, so I knew something was wrong. Yes, ma, I answered. You know that blind man who came to the village today? My heart began to beat fast. Yes, ma. You will marry him. The words hit me like cold water. What? Ma, please, shut up. Her sweet voice disappeared. You think you have a choice. That man's sister is willing to pay 200,000 naira. Do you know what I can do with that money? Your father has not sent money in 3 months. This house needs repairs. Your sisters need new clothes. You are 24 years old and still eating my food. This is your chance to be useful. But ma, I don't even know him. And so, you think marriage is about knowing somebody? You will marry him tomorrow. His sister said they are in a hurry. They will come for you in the morning. I ran to my small room and cried. I cried for my mother who was no longer here to protect me. I cried for my father, who was too weak to stand up for me. I cried for myself. But deep down, I also felt something else. Relief. Maybe, just maybe, life with a blind man would be better than life in this house.
The next morning, Sister Evie came with Oko. She counted the money into Mama Osasi's hands, while my stepmother smiled like she had won a lottery. "Hey, come," Sister Evie said to me. Her voice was kind. "Get your things." I had only one bag. Inside were 2 wrappers, 3 blouses, and my mother's photograph. That was all I owned. Osas and Eloho stood by the door, laughing. "Enjoy your blind husband," Osas shouted. Eluho clapped her hands and danced mockingly. My father was not home. He did not even know I was getting married. Sister Evie held my hand. Don't mind them, she whispered. God will judge them. Oko stood quietly beside his sister. I looked at his face. Even though he was blind, he was very handsome. His face was calm and peaceful. We walked out of that compound, and I did not look back. Sister Evie took us to a vehicle waiting at the edge of the village. It was a big black jeep. The driver opened the door for us, and we entered. Inside the jeep was so clean and cold. There was air conditioning. I had only seen such cars when rich people passed through our village. Where are we going? I asked Sister Evie. To my brother's house, she said with a small smile. It is far from here, in Omada village. Omada village. I had heard of it. It was a big place, like a small city. Rich people lived there. We drove for 3 hours. I sat beside Oko, who said nothing the whole journey. His sister made small talk with me, asking about my family, my life. I answered honestly. You have suffered, she said softly, touching my hand. But that suffering is over now. I did not believe her. How could my suffering be over? I was married to a blind man I did not know, going to a strange place. But Sister Evie seemed kind, and Oko, although silent, did not seem wicked. Maybe this was not the worst thing that could happen to me.
When we arrived at Omada village, I could not believe my eyes. The house, no, it was not a house. It was a mansion. The gate alone was bigger than the entire compound where I grew up. There were flowers everywhere, a fountain, and security men at the gate. Welcome home, Sister Evie. Welcome, Prince Oko, the security men said, bowing. Prince? I looked at Sister Evie in shock. She smiled at me. Yes, Ehi, my brother is a prince. Our father is the king of Omada village. But we did not tell anyone in your village because we wanted a wife who would love Oko for who he is, not for his money or title. My head was spinning. I had married a prince? Me, Ehi, who fetched water and washed clothes? Oko finally spoke. His voice was deep and gentle. Sister Evia told me about you. She said you looked at me with kindness when others looked at me with pity or disgust. That is why I chose you. Chose me? He chose me? But you are blind. How did you know? I asked. I am blind, he said, but I am not foolish. I can hear people's voices. I can feel their spirit. When you stood in that village square, you did not laugh at me or whisper like the others. Sister Evia told me you looked sad for me. That is when I knew. Tears filled my eyes. Life in the palace was like a dream. I had my own room, a room bigger than the entire house I grew up in. There were maids who wanted to do everything for me, but I was not used to that. I still woke up early to help with chores. Madam, please, you don't need to do that, the maids would say. But I could not just sit down. It felt wrong. Oko and I slowly became friends. Every morning I would describe the world to him. The sky is very blue today, I would say, with small white clouds that look like cotton. What does cotton look like, he would ask. Soft and light, like the way your voice sounds. He would smile. Oko had a beautiful smile. I read books to him. I described movies to him. I cooked his favorite foods and told him stories about my childhood. The good parts, not the side parts. You are a good woman, Ehi, he would say. I am blessed to have you. Slowly, I began to love him. Not because he was a prince, but because he was kind and patient and wise. Being blind had made him see people's hearts clearly.
6 months after our marriage, Oko's father, the king, decided to throw a big celebration. Important people from all the neighboring villages were invited. I want to present my son's wife properly, the king said. I was nervous. I had never been to such a big event. Sister Evia helped me dress in expensive clothes and jewelry. I looked in the mirror and almost did not recognize myself. The celebration was magnificent. There was food, music, and dancing. I sat beside Oko at the high table, and he held my hand tightly. Then I saw them, Mama Osas, and Eloho. They were among the guests, and their faces when they saw me, I will never forget it. Their mouths fell open. They looked at my clothes, my jewelry, the throne where I sat. They looked at Oko beside me, and at the king, his father. Mama Osas's face turned pale. She had sold me to a blind man for 200,000 naira, not knowing she was selling me to a prince. The 200,000 naira she collected, Oko's father spent more than that on my wedding dress alone. Osas and Eloho, who had mocked me, stood there in their cheap clothes, staring at me like I was a ghost. The king stood up to give a speech. "My people," he said, "I want to tell you about my daughter-in-law, Ehi. When my son became blind 3 years ago in an accident, many women ran away from him. They only loved his title and money. But Ehi did not even know he was a prince. She married him thinking he was just a poor blind man. She treated him with kindness and respect. That is why today I am announcing that when I die, my son Oko will be king and Ehi will be queen." The crowd erupted in cheers. I looked at Oko, tears running down my face. He smiled and squeezed my hand. "I told you," he whispered. "Sometimes God hides blessings in places we don't expect."
Mama Osas tried to approach me after the ceremony, her face full of fake smiles. "Ehi, my daughter, I am so happy for you. You see, I always knew you were special. That is why I..." "Stop," I said quietly. She froze. "You sold me because you wanted money. You treated me like a slave. You did not care if I lived or died." "But Ehi, I forgive you," I said. "Not because you deserve it, but because holding hatred in my heart will only hurt me. But don't ever call me your daughter again. You are not my mother." I walked away, holding Oko's hand. Sister Yvier was right. My suffering was over. Life na jejeyo.
2 years later, Oko had surgery. A doctor from abroad came and operated on his eyes. It was a miracle. He could see again. The first thing he wanted to see was my face. When the bandages came off and he looked at me for the first time, he cried. "You are even more beautiful than I imagined," he said. But you want to know something? Even though Oko could see again, our love did not change. He still held my hand the same way. He still listened to my voice like it was music. He still valued my heart more than my face. Because true love does not need eyes to see. Today, I am Queen Ehi of Omada village. My husband is king. We have 3 children, and I teach them every day that kindness is more valuable than gold. Sometimes, people from my old village come to the palace. They come with requests and apologies. I help them when I can, because I remember what it felt like to suffer. But Mama Osas, and Eloho, they learnt a hard lesson. The money they got from selling me finished within months. Their house collapsed. My father finally divorced Mama Osas and moved away. Last I heard, Osas and Eloho were now the ones fetching water and washing clothes for other people. Life has a way of balancing itself. As for me and Oko, we lived happily. Not because life was perfect, but because we chose to see the good in each other when others only saw our problems. And that, my friends, is how a slave girl became a queen, and how a blind man saw more clearly than anyone with 2 eyes. The end. Remember, the people who treat you badly when you have nothing are showing you exactly who they are. And the people who treat you well when you have nothing are showing you exactly who you should keep in your life. Subscribe for more videos. I appreciate you.